You've been called to the CEO's office. You've been busting your hump all year. You think to yourself, I deserve this. Your boss slides a piece of paper across the table. This is the moment you've been waiting for. Because you know there's never been a better time to test drive the 2019 Mercedes-Benz GLA at your authorized Mercedes-Benz dealer. That's right, the sleek SUV you've had your eye on at a truly surprising price. Visit MBUSA.com/GLA to learn more. Mercedes-Benz, the best or nothing.
Hello and welcome to the Olympic and Bundy podcast. I'm Kelly Taylor. Derek Warburton is the creative director and co-owner of La Palme magazine. He has his own jewelry line. He's worked as a celebrity stylist, among many other things in life, as you'll hear. He has some great takeaways about the fashion industry itself and other aspects of his life. He is a hustler, so buckle up and enjoy.
From the Fox 11 studios in Los Angeles, California, it's the Olympic and Bundy podcast with host Kelly Taylor.
All right, so this is a true story that not a lot of people know. Years ago, because I was living in New York, and I was like, it felt like I'd done my run. Like, you need to reinvent yourself. And I have always been able to reinvent. And I'm not I don't own something, and I'm like, I'm dead to, like, this is it. I roll with the punches. So, and everything changed in 2008, especially in fashion, because of the crash. And so retail changed forever. The web was coming up and just everything changed. And I saw being a stylist not being as prosperous anymore. And I'm like, you're done. Like, either move over. So that's how the television really started, because we started in 2007, right? Because we've been friends 11 years now. Yeah, so it's 2007 we started, and I just saw the change and then I got some private clients too for personal shopping. So that took me around the world, and that was a major cash. And I was like, I'm not going to go on set. The rates were dropping by the day.
Yeah.
Because every child, it's the internet now. Every kid thinks they're a stylist. Everybody thinks they're a makeup artist. Everyone thinks they're a photographer because they got an iPhone. It's a joke.
Yeah.
So, and we've all worked for 20-something years in this industry, and we're like, sit down, dear. But everyone has to start somewhere, so I'm not a hater. I'm like, all right, I'm a motivator.
Yeah.
Keep it moving. What am I going to do?
I'm not a hater. I'm a motivator. I like that.
No, because it's like, because, I've changed myself so much that if people are hating on me, I just don't. I treat people how I want to get treated, and I just keep it moving. And f you if you don't get it. Fine, done.
Yeah.
So I had got approached by, have you ever heard of Tony and Tina's Wedding? It was a huge off-Broadway show in the 80s in New York, and it was literally 2 different places. So it started in a church, and everybody in the audience was involved. And then you went to a restaurant, and it was literally Tony and Tina's wedding. It was like you went to a wedding. It was hilarious.
Okay.
But there's actors and everything. So they moved it to Broadway, and they asked me to do a limited run. Singing, dancing, the whole thing. I know. And I hadn't sung since high school, where I was really trained and doing a lot. But then it was like, oh my God, how am I going to pull this off? And then the show canceled before I even start. Literally, and I had a breakdown, and I moved to Key West and lived in a shitty hotel for a month, and then looked like Tan Mom by the time I got back to normal.
I forgot about Tan Mom.
Oh, no, for real. Yeah, it was scary.
Can we circle back to the off-Broadway thing?
Yeah.
Were you friends with these people? Were you already doing that?
No, I met them. It was a publicist. My entire life is publicists. Thank God for publicists, or I'd be still sitting in New Hampshire, like, peeling potatoes, working at the Mac counter or whatever. They don't even have a Mac. That tells you. Chanel. I'd work at Chanel at least, or Clinique.
Yeah.
Clinique. I know. Pure alcohol. You'll look great. So, no, I had met them, and I was hosting a party or something. I've always hosted a lot of parties because it just keeps you out there and it keeps you relevant,
Sure.
So I hosted this party, and she was like, I have this fabulous idea. And the one thing I've prided myself on in LA and in New York, I can fill a room.
Because you know a lot of people.
Yes, I know everyone.
Gotcha.
The maid to the president.
Yeah,
I know
yeah,
everybody,
Yeah.
And I've always been like that because I'm, chatty Cathy, whatever.
So you've always been chatty Cathy?
Oh, yes.
Even
Yes.
like as a little kid?
No. As a kid, I had this really abusive childhood. It was terrible. But I learned so much from it. And when I could finally be myself, there was no stopping me. And that was it. And I just went from there. No, I couldn't even look you in the eye at 14 years old.
Yeah. Wait,
And then
can we talk about?
I grew out of that.
Can we talk a little bit about New Hampshire? Did you grow up entirely in New Hampshire?
No, I lived. So basically, quick synopsis, because there's an hour and this isn't a 10-hour gig. I grew up in New Hampshire. My parents got divorced. My mother all of a sudden met this woman. We were all kind of shocked. And then her partner was really abusive. We ended up moving to upstate New York. It was terrible. We ended up in Florida. We were homeless. Nothing. No electric, no water, no sanitation. That's why I'm a Goodwill ambassador for clean water now. And it was literally living in the woods, but I went to school every day and was a straight A student.
Wow.
Yeah.
So wait, you said your mom was married to your father. They got divorced.
Yes.
And then you found out. How old were you when they got divorced?
10.
And then how soon did she start dating?
10 and a half.
Wow.
It was boom, boom, and not a clue. And what's
Interesting.
so funny is that, which I've never discussed ever, exclusive, Fox 11, hey. My mother cheated on him with another man, and then all of a sudden she was with a woman. It was crazy.
Wow.
This is like as a child seeing all that. It was just a little nuts. My brother had just died too. So I think it was so much emotional trauma for her. I don't even think you know any of this. Yeah. Yeah, my brother died of SIDS, sudden infant death syndrome. And it just knocked everyone. And her mother, who was paraplegic, died all within a year. So to lose a child and your mother all at the same time, I just think she lost it.
Yeah.
And then ended up in this relationship for a long time, but couldn't come out. So it was just so many layered things, which I understand where a lot of mental abuse would come from and a lot of abusive things. And then I think by the time we were homeless, which there was no need for, because I could have lived with my dad and I had a new stepmom and a new brother.
Did they stay in New Hampshire?
They all did and didn't know anything. I lied. I had to lie. I had to lie about every single thing. Did you take a cookie? No. Like I lied about everything because it was a safety mechanism. And I think that's why I'm such an honest, like brutally honest to a fault person now, because I went through all these things as childhood and I learned how to process them. And then once you learn how to process, you can move forward and live in truth. And I think that's really important for a lot of people, like, a lot of kids that are really suffering. It's like, once you can process why people treat you the way they do, why you're in a situation you're in, and then you can see over the hump and be able to move forward with it, you can be successful. You can love yourself. And it's really important. I tell myself, him this morning, we were laughing. I was like, did anyone tell you that they love you today? I love you. You're my friend. I love you. And I think people need to hear that every day, but people need to say it to themselves every day. And that's the first thing I say in the morning, honey. I love you.
I love you, Derek.
I love you, dear. Your name is Kelly.
Yeah.
No, but do you see what I mean? Like, it's really important that you have to step outside of yourself, because, so many of us, I talk to you, you talk to me. But a lot of us can't process the fact that we can talk to ourselves.
Yes.
Do you see what I mean?
100%.
And so every morning I wake up, and if I don't say it, it knocks my day out. I'm like, you are blessed. You are prosperous. You are grateful. You are kind. I love you. Every day.
Yeah.
That's the first thing I say, and I repeat it because sometimes I need to repeat it because I forget how kind I am, and I don't act kind. And, but it's really important to me but that keeps me, because that's something I need to work on, but I'm still processing. See what I mean?
Definitely. And when you're a young kid growing up, the situation that you grow up in, that's all you know.
Yes.
So you're like, okay, this is how the world is. This is how adults act. This is just how, this is what we're dealing with.
Yeah.
And then as you get older and meet other people, see how other relationships are, how other people live, then you start to be like, wait a second.
Yeah.
That's not right.
Exactly.
What's going on in my life? Why did that happen to me? And then it's almost like probably a period of resenting certain things. And then eventually when you start to, I'm just sort of guessing here. And then when you start to get older and maybe think a little bit deeper about the situation itself, maybe you can take a step back and sort of look at it like, okay.
What it did to me, so by the time I left her, and I haven't seen her since the day I left.
Your
I was
mom?
15 years old because I was going to commit suicide. That's why I still talk a lot about being suicidal, because I knew it was going to go one way or the other. And I was either going to heal or I was going to go. And I was already there by 13. Like, this is not going to work. This is not going to work. And it just continued. There were so many crazy things that happened in my life. Just like because we lived with my mother's partner's parents.
Oh, wow.
And he ended up in the mental hospital and in jail for holding a place hostage with the shotgun. 6 o'clock news. I'm 13 years old. All these crazy things. And I had come from a very good, very lower middle class, but middle class family. Never wanted for anything. I was such a happy kid. And then, boom, all of this comes at you. And then, it's so funny. Everyone always asks, oh, did you have a hard time coming out? And I was like, the opposite, because I already went through it with my mother. And but living in denial. I'm like, we're all living in the same house. Like, you are partners. There's no question about it. And it was such denial through everything. It was crazy.
Meaning, like,
they weren't gay.
They weren't talking about it out loud.
The opposite.
Wow.
The opposite. It was such a joke, and it was like right in front of us, and they were in love. And I mean, I honor that. I would never criticize that. And it's just funny because everyone's like, oh, do you have a coming out story? That's such a, when you're a gay guy, it's like, oh, what's your coming out story?
Yeah.
And I was like, my mother was gay. I handled it. And the only reason why I didn't say anything is because it was a different time and I was more afraid because I had already ran from a situation. So when I moved in with my dad and my stepmom, I was just afraid because I didn't want to get kicked out.
Yeah.
Because I was watching it going on around me.
So,
every gay kid I knew was being kicked out of their house. They were homeless. And I was like, I was already homeless.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I was healing myself.
So you're 15, left Florida, went back up to New Hampshire?
Yeah. And I haven't seen her since, and I haven't seen her partner. And I'm getting on the plane, and I it's such a movie. I'm literally climbing the stairs. It was like one of those, like climbing the stairs to the staircase. And she yells after me, are you going to say goodbye to Bonnie, which is her partner? And I go, no. And walked up that stairs, and that was it. Never, ever spoke to her again or have seen her since. And my mother I've spoken to, and she just, the poor thing, tried to keep manipulating me even after I left, which worked for a little while, so the conversation kept going. And then by high school graduation, she wouldn't come to my high school graduation because she was uncomfortable that my father would judge her. And I was like, understood, okay. And then that was that. But at 25, this is crazy, I spoke to her again because she was claiming she had Huntington's disease, which is a neuro disorder that my uncle had, and she claimed she had it and that I had it. And I needed to get tested. So that's how she got. And my poor father, I don't give him a lot of credit. He's like a really rough, tumble kind of guy. But again, no one knew. I didn't tell anyone for years. No one knew, even because my stepmom and my dad, I moved in and they didn't know what was wrong with me. They're like, what is wrong with this kid? Because I was seriously, I had emotional issues,
right.
big ones. And when I moved in, because no one could even understand like what happened or why I was the way I was, and
Because
the lying
and they weren't aware of
no, they
your
knew
living
nothing. I told
situation.
no one anything. No way. I was terrified. I was terrified. And then finally, my stepmom and I, who is my mom now, like we are so tight. We had a breakthrough, and then it just came out, and I just was a puddle, and she was too. It's a lot.
Yeah.
It's a lot to go through, and it's a lot to hold in. So that's why, a lot of the charity work I do and everything, it's like, it's so deep rooted, and I keep it real light on the surface because I can't go there.
Yeah.
Because I've closed that door. And once you close an emotional door like that, close the damn door. Because make you wallow for life and cause so many more dramas and so many more issues. And so, but I wouldn't be who I am now at all without it. Never. I wouldn't have the drive. I wouldn't be willing. I literally just gave up my apartment for 6 months. I have no apartment right now. I'm like kind of bouncing because I wanted to go and build my career. And I've been in Europe and doing everything to keep building.
Yeah.
It has been my driving force of my life, everything that I went through.
That's always really interesting to me to hear what you're talking about right now. If you grew up with a rough situation, it seems like you can go one of two ways.
Yes.
Like you can kind of continue down that path,
Yes.
just sort of what you know, or you can like totally be reverse and sort of be super ambitious to sort of like reach for success.
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
And you're obviously the latter.
Yes, for sure. Yeah.
And thank the universe you had your stepmom, like someone to talk to.
Oh my gosh. I mean, my grandmother, my father's mother, and her saved my life. They really did. And they were just kind. It's, again, kind.
Yeah.
Which is why I constantly have to remind myself to be kind. Because I could turn. It's easy, but it's work. Everything's work in our lives. You know that. I mean, nothing comes easy and nothing comes free.
Definitely.
It's work. And so I just constantly have to work on it. The Uber over here, the lady, I was like, this lady is going to get it. And then it was like, be kind. She doesn't know the difference.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? It's like when you live a past fight. And I was like, okay, honey, we're late. Girl, step on it, dear. Let's go. And we're listening to La Cucaracha in the car, and she is going just as slow.
La
I was like, girl,
La
let's go.
Cucaracha.
You're killing me right now.
I know.
Yeah, but it's like, be kind.
Yeah. When I get frustrated with strangers, I think of them as like, oh, what if this was my mom or my parent or my sister or my child?
We don't know what type of day.
Yeah.
We don't know their situation. We don't know what they're going through at the moment. And maybe they just need to take it a little slow. Maybe they need to be whatever they are. And, we all, it's human emotion. We all go through it. And, we can't forget that we all go through different things and we never know,
Yes.
Yeah.
Definitely.
Well, this went into a different turn that I didn't expect this morning. I thought we were going to talk about diamonds and clothes.
I know nothing about either.
My favorite things.
Wait, so you get through high school.
Yes.
When do you suddenly get into? Because I know you worked as a makeup artist.
I did.
First.
Yes.
What were your interests? Like young Derek, teenage Derek. What were your hobbies? What was like things that you generally were into?
I, as an escape, had magazines.
Okay.
Magazines.
Oh.
I had magazines. It was Vogue and Bazaar and Elle and all these magazines. And I dreamed of being in them, seeing myself there, owning a magazine, doing magazine work. And I've literally done magazine work for years, and now I own a magazine, and I'm about to launch a new one. And, it has definitely taken me time, but it's worth it. Everything that takes time is worth it.
Yeah.
That's another thing I'm constantly saying. It takes time. And I didn't hit young. I'll hit older because I haven't hit yet.
I love that.
And I know I won't hit for another 10 plus years, I think. It's coming and it's growing.
When you say hit, you mean like really hit your stride in your career?
Yes. Yes. Because I knew my entire life, because of how I grew up, that I'd be fabulously wealthy. Girl, I don't know how that's going to happen, but I'm working on it. I'll work on it and work on it.
Same, Derek.
Yeah, no, but I've always known things about myself because there's one thing I am is intuitive, and I know when I need to make a change. I know when I need to grow. I know this isn't going to work. I know it. Boom. Make a change. That's why, I still have friends from 20-something years ago. I'm really loyal, but, I needed a baseline, and then because that allows you, once you have your base, things can move and things can, you don't have to be so concrete about things because you always need your foundation. But once you have a foundation, you can grow.
Yeah.
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 And that's really important.
I want to kind of wind a little bit through your career because you honestly have done, like, I feel like you are like scrappy, like in a good way.
In more ways than one, yes.
Do you know what I mean?
Yeah, yes, I am scrappy. No one fucks with me.
No, I like that.
Yeah. Because if you do, I will come for you.
Well, in the industry that you work in, I feel like in fashion, the fashion industry in general, and like the beauty and that whole area over there is very intimidating to me. So if someone was like,
and it should be.
Yeah, if someone was like, okay, if someone was like held a gun to my head and they were like, you need to be a fashion stylist, I wouldn't make it. Like I don't even know the first place to start.
No, yeah. Because it's tough, trust me.
So you're working as a makeup artist, and then I was reading about how you moved to Miami to start Atomic.
No. Basically, I worked as a makeup artist. Originally, I worked for a model agency.
Oh, okay.
And I was starting to do makeup there. And makeup was a necessity because being a stylist is the most thankless, horrible career ever. You have to love it. You have to have such passion or you'll never make it. Mm-hmm. Because it is such a passionate thing. You're not there for the money, especially now because there is none. And everyone wants you know.
Everyone wants to do it.
Yeah, exactly. And also everyone wants it free, you know, because everyone thinks they're a genius. So that's why, which I get.
Right.
But I started doing makeup out of necessity because I couldn't afford to be a stylist. And then that brought me a lot, though. You know, I mean, it took me to Miami, and I had a very good job. And I could have, and I mean, I was making six figures at 22 years old. I was doing really well.
Oh, you went to Miami at 22?
I was 23, I think. I was in New York. I went to FIT. I did tons of internships.
The Fashion Institute of Technology, right?
Yes, yes. Or fags in training, depending on how you think. You know what I mean? Oh, no, that's what everyone called it when I went there. No, whatever. And most of the school, it's so much graphic design that no one's gay. It's hilarious.
Oh.
Yeah. It's just the design kids, and we're all wild. And, you know, that was Richie Rich days and the club kids, and I went out every night and did that.
Yeah.
But I went to work every day full time, and I had 3 internships. I just keep it busy.
Right.
Just keep it busy.
So you're into these magazines as an escape as a kid, but you get into fashion. Like that's like sort of there was
no other choice. I didn't know what else. Funny enough, the only other thing that I would have done, which nobody knows this about me, I taught middle school math to kids with Down syndrome all through high school because they were the only ones that were kind to me. And that's why, because I was so horribly bullied and teased. And so that was an escape too.
So you're good at math.
It was either, honey, I know how to get 20% off. That's how good at math I am, and how to get the check written to me.
Well, that's all you need to know.
Yeah, exactly. I can get a discount in a second. So that was something that I was into, and I think that also that was very healing for me.
Yeah.
And I was the Special Olympics coach and did all those things, and I can't do one sport, but I was there supporting. I was there with love. But then, you know, it was always known I'd go into magazines. Mm-hmm. It was always known because I spent my money at my grocery store. Like, I had a little grocery store job, and I spent all my money on magazines.
Really?
Oh, yes. Oh, there were piles and piles and piles in our basement because I just poured over things. But that was also my research, which has helped me because I have so much reference where these kids have no reference anymore. They think Beyonce invented it. And I was like, oh, dear, she doesn't even know what that is. Somebody on the team stole that from the 60s. Like, it's a random Liza thing. You know what I mean? Like, but that's the world we live in now, you know, which makes me laugh. But I had just done so much research, and then I wanted to be an artist. And I was like, I could make a lot of money, or I could be an artist and grow into the money. And I chose the art. That was really important to me. And so I went to Miami, and I still have some of those. But that felt like my real college years.
Yeah.
When I was in Miami, because I still have the same best friends now for 20-something years. And everyone started there. Everyone.
And what specifically were you doing when you went to Miami work-wise?
Makeup.
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 Okay.
I got my first TV gig on Road Rules.
Oh.
And they threw me on the show because I just cracked jokes all day and I was doing makeup and we just had a blast. And then I hosted a show called Big Boutique, which was on the Old Style Network. And so I would get a lot of one-offs. That's been my life. I get a one-off. You know, I have the Joan Rivers career of fashion. It's like I'm out there, everyone knows me, but never the big hit, never the big hit. But I do everything, you know? And then I hosted another show called Fashion Avenue with an old supermodel named Jodie Kidd. Her sister's a huge Gemma Kidd. Do you know her, the makeup artist? And she has a makeup line too.
I think she may have been on our show
Oh,
before.
probably. Yeah, she's amazing. Such a talent. She's so cool. And her sister's divine. But she was like heroin chic, one of those girls. She weighed 100 pounds. She's 6'1". One of those.
The kids.
Yeah. So she, so I did a little show with her, and that just started the hustle.
Okay.
You know, and no one knew me. And then, but I started getting editor jobs. So I had Atomic. I met this amazing woman in Miami.
And Atomic was a styling agency.
It was. And before I got there, which I ended up owning it with the woman that started. Her name is Teddy Gunter, another talent. And she had The Rock and their entire family.
Oh.
And helped transition him into Dwayne Johnson.
Dwayne The Rock Johnson?
Yeah. Yeah, they're from Miami.
Oh, I didn't know
Yeah,
that.
he went to Miami University or whatever. And the wife is the genius. She's amazing. Her name is Danny Garcia. She's the one producing all the movies now, and they're not even married anymore. He has a new girl, a baby, the whole thing.
Oh, really?
And they're all business partners because she is a genius. I admire her so much. She did his homework to get him out of Miami University to make sure got him into the wrestling thing, was with him all through that. And she was an investment banker. He never had to work a day in his life before Scorpion King. Scorpion King. So they are rich.
What a gal.
Rich, quiet. They're very quiet about it.
So I know nothing about this. So you're saying that basically The Rock and his family went to Atomic and they were like, listen, we don't know how to dress. Help us.
Well, do you know the turtleneck with the necklace and the whatever?
Yeah.
That's how he came. This was before me though.
Okay.
And then I worked with them a lot. Just more at the time I was more officey because I needed to know how to run a business.
Yeah.
And I didn't know. And so I worked with them, and then the styling literally came because we also had a rental. So, you know, in Miami at the time, everyone was down there. It was just after Versace, so it hadn't died yet, if you know what I mean, because it was so hot. And then when he was murdered, tragically, it dwindled from there because people were afraid, you know?
Yeah.
And then, of course, September 11th happened. That's how I ended up there because I got off the plane on September 7th, and I was like, uh-oh, I'm not going anywhere. That's how I ended up in Miami, really, in the end. And I met this woman, Teddy. She had The Rock going on, and then we had a rental, and then I ended up styling everyone's rental. So they'd come in for jobs, styling jobs, and I could, because we made more money that way, and I did the entire job for them, so they gave us their budgets. But what ended up happening is that the stylist would come, they wouldn't even need to do it anymore. I did their entire job for them.
So you're essentially like learning how to be a stylist. You're essentially like getting those skills on the job.
That's exactly what happened. And then one day a girl came and she's like, you've done every job for me.